All right, this meeting will come to order at 7:05. First, I want to thank all of our members and representatives for joining us tonight as we work together to build and uplift our community. A few housekeeping rules: please stay muted. If you'd like to speak, use the raise hand reaction and you'll be called to the floor in the order you are presented. If you do speak out of turn, you will be muted as it is a violation of Robert's Rule of Order. If you are calling in, please use *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute yourself. Please keep all comments and questions relevant to the general body. If you have a direct question or comment, you may use the chat or email us directly at secretarynpuy@gmail.com. We do ask that you use nonverbal reactions on the bottom of your screen as to proceed with a timely manner. And lastly, if you do have more than one member on attendance on the same Zoom login, please leave their information in the chat to be counted towards their voting eligibility. First up is the approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All right, with no corrections to the minutes, we will approve the minutes as they are. Approval of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Are there any opposed to the approval of the agenda? All right, with no opposition, we will approve the agenda and move forward. First up are progress reports from our city department representatives. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. Those that have questions for department representatives, if they do not pertain to the general body, please put them in the chat so the representative can answer you directly, or you may contact them through their information in the chat, or it is also available on the NPU website. First up, I have Major William Ricker.
Hey, good morning. Oh, good morning. Good evening, everybody. So for crime for June compared to May of last year, we'll go through them real quick. So there were 2 homicides compared to 0 in May. There were 10 aggravated assaults compared to 12 in May. There were 2 robberies compared to 1 in May. There were 8 burglaries compared to 2 in May. 17 auto thefts compared to 7 in May. 12 larceny from autos compared to 8 in May. And 9 larceny non-autos compared to 7 in May. A total of 60 compared to 37 in May. I'll go backwards and just talk about a couple of them real quick. So there was a homicide at 201 Maury Avenue. 2 people were shot on scene, an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old. The 18-year-old, unfortunately, was deceased. 7 Charleston Avenue. There was a 37-year-old victim, suffered a gunshot wound fatally. That case is now solved. It was a domestic incident between family members. As far as our aggravated assaults, we're seeing more and more domestic violence again, which is obviously a bad thing, as well as an uptick in road rage across all of Zone 3, not necessarily NPU-Y. I do not suggest, if you get in a vehicle and you have a dispute with somebody else, to irritate them, honk at them, wave gestures at them. We've seen several cases recently that's ended in gunfire where these people are shooting back at those cars. As far as our auto thefts, it is the same old song and dance with those. The significant number of those are either Handouts or Kias. And we take an auto theft whether they steal a car or not. So let's just say they get into your car and they tear up your column, your steering column, and the car doesn't leave the scene. It's still an attempted auto theft, so we still categorize it as that. So we do have a significant number of those. We still have plenty of clubs for anybody that has a Kia or Hyundai that wants one. They're at the precinct, or in some cases, we can meet some folks out in the area to give them one. So that's a big help on that side. Juveniles are related to the majority of those crimes. And one significant arrest, for those that remember where the fire academy used to be on Ashwood Avenue, basically at the dead end of Ashwood off of Pryor. We had a gentleman that was caught stealing or burglarizing that location. He was well known to us. He's well known to the Jonesboro Lakewood community. Bernard Jenks is his name. So he was captured last week, and he is in custody. He usually does his stuff out of U-Hauls. So that was a good thing. That good arrest we just recently made. But I'm available for any questions anybody might have.
Madam Chair, we can't hear you.
Thank you. Heather, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. Major Ricker, do you mind dropping your information in the chat? I may have joined late, so I'm not seeing it.
No, okay. I'll put it back in there, but yeah, I dropped it in there before.
Gloria Hawkins, you have the floor.
Do you mind, Madam Chair, if I piggyback on a couple of questions with for Major Ricker?
Yes,
Major Ricker, it might be significant to let the folks know about the meeting there in the villages at Carver, the genesis of the meeting, the outcome, and how it affects the rest of us.
Okay, so there was a meeting last week in the villages of Carver between several members of the police department and the villages of Carver owners and leadership team there surrounding the criminal activity in their space, which has been significant. Was everything fixed at that meeting? No, because there's some things that need to be fixed. Cameras, gates, things of that sort in that space over there. So we're hoping that gets done sooner rather than later. And the general discussion was just some of the things that they've been causing them problems as far as the ability to remove some people that they do not want on site. That doesn't necessarily have any relation to the police department. That's through the courts and then the marshal service as far as putting them out. But that's the general conversation about crime took place last week at that space.
Major Rick, it might be helpful for folks to know who the negotiators were, if I can put it that way, because I think they were pretty high level, which indicates we might be on track for some remedies. Do you mind sharing, or is that privileged, the information as to?
I mean, it was the owner of the property, so I mean, you really can't get any higher than that. And Chief Shearbaum was out there with Captain Pettis, but it's for the most part it's the usual players involving meetings with these apartment complexes that we have issues with across the city.
The reason the question was asked is the owner / managers, Mr. Perry, who's poised to bring online 200 units in that vicinity and is poised to meet with the contiguous communities. But again, I thought that was pretty high profile, that the community know that both Chief Shearbaum, who is our chief, in addition to Mr. Perry. So thanks. Lastly, you mentioned, how about the bike units? Are they online yet?
So the bike unit started last week. There's 2 officers. They're there a minimum of 3 days a week. They operate between 10 and 6, and they've actually been traveling a pretty good ways. So they're down in the park recently. So we hope to get them out as much as we can. There's a limit sometimes when the temperature hits a certain point that we can't have them on bicycles, but that's the plan going forward, is to put them out in the streets as much as we can.
Thank you, Major. Have there been any arrests vis-a-vis the bike patrol? Any arrests regarding the? You're good. Thank you, Major Riga. National Night Out, you'll be attending?
Yes.
Can you tell anybody, can you give any words that will encourage the rest to attend?
To participate? So last year, we only had one community in Zone 3. Well, I say one community. We were at over at Dunbar, and that was Peoplestown, as well as Summerhill were the main players over there. We had a significant amount of folks turn out, including from the police department and fire as well. So I hear that it's going to be over there at off McDaniel University. So that probably is going to be even better space to bring out large numbers. So we look forward to it.
Thank you. And it is on our agenda, so we will be announcing it for hopefully getting the word out.
Okay.
Ken, you have your hand, Ken Akbar.
Yes, greetings, everyone. How are you, Major Ricker?
I'm good. How are you, Ken?
I'm good, thank you. When you were going over the crime statistics, I didn't hear mention that we had a shooting here in Jordan, July 2nd. A 22-year-old young man was visiting a relative that just moved up here, and they shot and killed him right up the street from me. I heard the gunshot.
Yeah, so that I went over the June statistics. We're always a month behind. So
Okay, that's
yes,
right. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But just so you brought it up, I can give you some short updates on that. So it was at 296 Thornton Street. It was a 22-year-old who was shot. The case is moving along very well. There is somebody currently wanted. So once we actually have that person in custody, I'll push that out to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for joining us and giving us an update and keeping us safe.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
As I call Chief Cutter to the floor, you have.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Chief Katrier. I'm representing Battalion 1, which is basically Zone 3, same kind of area. You guys may see some folks out recently, and we've got our hydrant season underway. And so the firefighters are out checking all the fire hydrants and making sure they all work to keep you guys safe. And we can get water to put on a fire to put them out and save your lives if we need to. We also, I know you've heard me talk about it before, but there's a national campaign. It's called the Close Your Door campaign. And that campaign is a push to educate folks that one of the most easiest things you can do to save your life in a house fire or an apartment fire is to close your bedroom door when you go to sleep at night. It can make the difference between 100 degrees inside your bedroom and over 1,000 degrees outside that door. So that's a pretty significant study that happened, and pretty easy thing to do to save the lives of you folks and your children as well. And as always, we have our car seat program. So if there's someone who's in need of a car safety seat for a young one that lives within the city limits, then you can reach out to the fire department and we can assist you with that. We also have a smoke alarm program that if you're needing smoke alarms, those are pretty good ways to help you save your life as well. We also have the opportunity to request an apparatus, which means requesting a fire truck to come to, say, a school or a church function. I can put links to those if you guys would like, if anyone's interested in that. And also a link to be able to request a fire report in case you do have an incident that you need a report to go along with your insurance or anything that would fall within that realm.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Hi, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love that information. If you're unable to put it in the chat, if you can email it to us, that'd be fantastic.
Will do. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, next we have Nancy Sproul with ATL 311.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Sproul and I am your ATL 311 ambassador. If you need to report non-emergency issues like potholes, water main breaks, missed trash collection, code violations, or challenges with city services, 311 offers 5 pathways to resolution. You can, number 1, dial 311 on your mobile phone Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And our number for, if you're not able to dial it through your cell phone is 404-546-0311. You can email us at atl311@atlantaga.gov. You can set up your own account at www.atl311.com. You can also download the ATL 311 mobile app and chat with our virtual assistants. And lastly, you can contact us on social media to report any issues. Our social media tag is ATL 311. The contact information has been put in the chat, and also I sent a link in there for a survey, and you can use this survey to give any feedback from our discussion at the meeting, or if you have something that you would like to have escalated. Say if you have a case that has not been completed and you want to follow up on it, you can use that link in the chat to give us some information on it and give us your information, and someone will follow up with you. And let's see. I don't have any other information. I'm real brief, but I'd like to use the information, the remainder of my time for any questions.
Thank you. I open the floor for questions. All right, as I see none, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, we have Officer Cofield with Code Enforcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Officer Cofield with Code Enforcement for the City of Atlanta. Just a bit of to piggyback off of the 1778 Lakewood Avenue. So upon me going there to do a reinspection, I actually spoke to the young lady, and I actually spoke to the owner of the property that was actually on the phone with me. So there's a kind of bit of, and I know everything is all over the front lawn. So what I kind of told her was she needs to tidy up, but I think the owner of the property is trying to get her evicted off of the property. So that's kind of my biggest thing. I've been going backwards and forward about Richmond Avenue. It's another 1662 Richmond Avenue, 1666. I just found there's a young lady that lives on the property in a tent. I don't know if you all have visited. So those are my biggest two issues that I have in the community. I've been on vacation for about 2 to 3 weeks. Well, 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks. So I haven't really been kind of like on call to answer any of you all calls or kind of like downright, but I'm back here and hopefully I can get back to working with you all this week. I did receive some of you all's emails. I haven't been able to go backwards and look at them, but I am trying to answer all of you all's emails or any questions that you all may have. So any questions from me right now?
Kelly Jean, you have the floor.
Hey, Officer Caulfield, you probably have received at least a couple of calls from people on Drive, because there's someone living in a camper on one of the sort of untended lots at the end of Claire, like cutting down an old tree, doing all their stuff.
208 Claire Drive. So I actually went and spoke to, well, the lady wasn't there. She has a child there. So I asked her, I told her she needs to move. I actually talked to the owner, and he was actually trying to get that trailer pulled off of that lot at this time. So the person who owns that lot is the same person that owns that 1778 Lakewood Avenue as well. So we were actually talking with each other about 2 weeks before I left. So he was trying to get them taken off of that lot, and he's trying to get the young lady off of 1778 Lakewood Avenue.
All right, thank
So
you.
I do have that on top of my agenda.
All right.
Gloria Hawkins, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You're absolutely right, Inspector Cofield, that those are the two hot spots in Lakewood. But I would dare say to you that if you check with Superior Court, The woman that you spoke to is a defendant in a fraud involving those properties. So look a little bit deeper. Right now, I think the SWEET team would be best served. There are folks who are living on the 1778 compound. So it would be best to have the SWEET team, but I think you need to look a little bit deeper. I can provide you with the case number. It is,
Okay,
yeah, I'll do that for you. It's
okay,
okay.
Gloria, if you can leave that in the chat for her, that'd be great.
okay.
Are there any other questions? All right, as I see no other hands, thank you so much and welcome back from vacation.
All right, thank you all. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You too. Next, I
Thank
have
you.
Officer Lawrence with the City of Atlanta Department of Public Works, and that is the SWEET team.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Officer Lawrence, I'm with the Department of Public Works, the SWEET team. So I'm code enforcement for Public Works. I know sometimes that gets kind of confusing. So we handle everything that's on the city's right of way. Officer Cofield handles everything that's on the property. And I'm only giving out that information again, because sometimes when you go through 311, if you say dumping of any sort, they're gonna send it to me. So if you can just make sure, like you say, on the property, but when I get it, I just don't dismiss it as it doesn't belong to me. I make sure it does get to Officer Cofield in her office, and if they may already have a case on it. So just try to be as detailed as possible with it, if you can, when submitting through 311. This week is an on week for yard trimming. We're still on bi-weekly collection right now for yard trimming. Not sure when that will end as of now, but right now we're still on bi-weekly. If you want just the update schedule of it, you can go to atlantaga.gov to Public Works, put in your address, and it'll give you a bi-weekly schedule so you can keep track of it. We're still offering bulk services as well. So if you have anybody that you know, because I'm not sure if our residents are sure of it, so sometimes they just take and dump their items, but we do offer those that service still. You get 12. Just have to make sure it's in compliance for us to pick it up. As of right now, I don't have anything else. But I'll stand by for questions and concerns. One thing, Ms. Gloria, for
Yes.
1778 Lakewood, what were you suggesting that?
My understanding is that there's a health and welfare conditions that folks have no water, and there's a number of folks living on the property, not necessarily accessing the house, which I think is in pretty bad condition. But the thrust of it is, I've been told by others to do a check on the folks that are residing on the outside in tents, I think primarily, as we heard earlier. It's 1778 Lakewood Avenue.
Okay, I can go by there and see what's going on the right of way. But as far as like something need to be cleaned off the property, it'll have to go through APD first, and then APD code enforcement. And then when they let them the owner, then they can work something out with Public Works to go in there and get it clean. But we can't go in there and clean it without an order.
No, I think it's more the care of the people at this point, more than.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, that wouldn't be the SWEET team. I'll find the information and forward it to you. Maybe we can get Pat over there and see if they can offer some services as well, and see how we can get them involved. And once Pat get involved, if they have items that they left out on the curb, I'll get with our special operations teams about getting it removed.
Thank you, Officer Lawrence.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions for Officer Lawrence? All right, as I see none, thank you so much.
All right, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Are there any other city department representatives that I have not called on? All right, we'll move to our elected officials. First, I have Jonathan Harris with the Community Engagement Manager, and that is with Commissioner Natalie Hall.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Harris. I am the Community Engagement Manager for Commissioner Hall. Just a couple of brief updates. Our next BOC meeting will be August 2nd. August 16th, our Board of Commissioner meeting will take place at 141 Pryor Street. Commissioner Hall has been very busy. We were happy to partner with the sheriff's office this past weekend to give away 1,000 book bags at the Carver YMCA. It turned out to be a great event, and so Commissioner Hall had a fun time, and the sheriff did as well. Our next community cleanup will be on the 22nd. We will partner with Councilman Michael Julian Bunn on Wednesday, July 19th, to do a community giveaway at 1540 Prior Road, which is the St. Philip AME Church. And so if you know any families in need of food and stuff, please invite them out to come to that event. We'll be out there from 12 to 6. Couple of updates from the previous Board of Commissioners meeting. There were some conversations around our millage rate. The Board of Commissioners was asked to approve a resolution to allow advertisement of the millage rate at 9.3724. That motion failed. There was another motion offered for it to go to 9.05. That motion failed. The final motion on the floor passed with the millage rate being advertised at 9.274. 9.274. And so there will be 3 public meetings held. The first public hearing will be August 2nd at the 10 a.m. Board of Commissioners meeting, followed by an evening meeting on August 2nd, starting at 6 p.m. in the Assembly Hall at 141 Prior Street. And then the final meeting will be August 16th at 10 a.m. The millage rate will be set at the August 16th meeting, recess meeting at the Board of Commissioners meeting in the Assembly Hall. So if you would like to be heard on those matters, please come to one of those meetings, sign up to speak, and we will take your concerns. Always feel free to reach out to our office. Madam Chair, that is all I have tonight. I'll take any questions at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Hall's office? Alira Lofton, you have the floor.
That's Kelly. I shared the link with her. Kelly, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. No, first question, Jonathan, can you drop those millage rate meetings into the chat so that we can collect all those dates? I wasn't able to collect all those dates that you said. And then number 2, can you just make sure to check your email for Alira's email about Unity Day? We want to go ahead and confirm those services that can come and table or bring their mobile units. So we want to make sure that that's done for Unity Day, for our NPU-Y Unity Day. Thank you.
I received that email. I have a number of requests right now. Because that's in August, I would ask that you allow me to finish the July request for back to school bashes and stuff. And then next week I will start handling the request for National Night Out and for August 20th. But it is on a constant reminder for me to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And there's a question in the chat. That would be an increase. The current millage rate right now is 8.87. So that would be an increase from what the current millage rate is at this point.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, as I see no hands raised, thank you so much for joining. We always appreciate you being on.
What would the average person pay? That's a question I would need to, Ms. Prowler, that's a question I would need to ask our tax assessors. I'm not familiar with that. And so I can take that to them and get an answer back to you. You have my email address. So if you want to email that question to me, I'll send it to the appropriate team.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Madam Chair.
All right, next we have Mina with Council Member Antonio Lewis's office.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. A couple of quick updates. We are in our summer recess right now, so getting caught up on all the constituent stuff that may have fallen through the cracks. One of the bigger things that we're tackling in the next 2 weeks is gathering a comprehensive list of what we call nuisance gas stations. So any gas stations where, we don't feel safe going at night, where, there have been issues here and there. So if you do have any in mind that, pop up right away, please email them, text them to me. We are, as you may or may not know, the past public safety meeting, the Public Safety Committee passed a resolution to mandate that gas stations integrate their cameras on the outside with our Operation Shield, our VIC system. Now, unfortunately, cameras are mandated by the state. However, we have gotten many of our state partners are in alliance with this, that this needs to happen. But on the forefront, we do want to make sure that we are bringing these bad actors or just people that may not know what's going on at their business. Sorry, getting a lot of tongue tied today. And making sure that they are cleaning up their properties as it becomes a nuisance and it hurts our community. So that's one of the bigger things. Another thing as it relates to NPU-Y, I know that there's some outstanding dollars for Unity Day. We are in the process between the fiscal year ending and then shutting everything down. So we should have that money to you guys soon as well. Other than that, we are going to be hosting many back to school drives all around the district. One of our biggest ones is going to be at Roselle Fan on the 30th. Over 3,000 book bags available. If you know anyone that is in need, please tell them to stop by. There's one at Pittman Park. There's one at a church over on Metropolitan. So there's a lot, and I'll be sending that to you so you can send that out to everyone as well. Other than that, I'm going to be quiet because I think my 3 minutes is up. And allow you to ask any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mina. Are there any questions for Councilmember Antonio Lewis's office? Golia Hawkins-Wynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hey, Mina, what that wish list that was submitted by June 30th, we've heard from, at least Lakewood has heard from feedback from CM Whiston. Any feedback from your office?
Yeah, so we submitted kind of a master list, and these are we're planning of pulling money from two pots right now. So one is our discretionary funding that was given to us through the TSPOS 2.0, which was about $1.5 million in horizontal and $1.5 million in vertical. Other than that, Councilmember Hillis and the rest of council passed an extra $12 million for allocation of repavement and fixing our streets. So we've just kind of gathered all the assessments, put down these streets that need sidewalks or that need repavement. And we've sent that all over. DOT is looking it over right now and will provide us with some price points. And then we will send that out to the communities to say, hey, this is kind of what they came back with in your community. This costs this much, hundreds of thousands. How would you like to prioritize that? One of the biggest ones is that Lakewood Way exit right there as well. Macon Drive, it has gone to its 5th bid. So we're just trying to get the bidding process out the way. But when you get off of 166, they're going to be repaving that. And that has nothing to do with TSPOS dollars. Actually, that was some discretionary funding that we found earlier on when we got into office. So that is happening as well. Sorry, a long-winded answer to your question.
Thank you. Thank you, Nina. Thanks.
Alira or Kelly, you have the floor.
It's Kelly. Mina, is Meter Avenue on the list?
I believe
that's like a major, yeah, and it's a major,
yes.
I mean, tons of people use that to get through.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so most of what we did was we took our connectors and our arterials and took the assessments that DOT has already done, along with the ARC, the Atlanta Regional Commission, GDOT, and put them all onto a master list and said, hey, give us the price points so then we can take it back to the community and say, this is what it is. Which ones do you guys want right away? And which ones do you want us to put on the back burner?
Okay, thank you.
And lastly, if you have any speed bump requests, those, if you've had any, those are being installed right now. So there's speed bumps coming near you very, very soon.
Perfect. That was going to be my question for you. Jacob Mills, you have the floor.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I missed a good portion of this, but if we're talking about roadways, I would like to just at least throw this out there as far as McDonough Boulevard being a major thoroughfare between truck traffic and all construction traffic that we have here in Chosewood Park, along with the new residents that are going to be coming. We currently have developments that are being proposed for new SAPs on McDonough. I was wondering if you might be able to reach out to these developers and maybe help encourage some extra setbacks for developments that are along major thoroughfares like McDonough and Chosewood Park for larger pedestrian pathways, bike lanes, and possibly some extensions or road improvements along McDonough.
And Jacob, you're speaking to my heart right now. As somebody who lives off of McDonough on Boulevard, music to my ears. That on the council side, that is on Councilmember Winston's district. And I know that he's been paying attention to that. As far as our side goes, what we have, we will of course push that, and I know Councilmember Winston is as well. And on the planning side, we're working with DOT and planning currently right now to look at not redoing the way that planning and development is done in the district, but making sure that just how planning and fire have to get, you have to approve your plans by them. You also have to run it by Department of Transportation to make sure any of the major transit problems that come because of these developments are remedied or they are thought about before. So definitely those setbacks, those bike paths are all going to be in that plan as well. Commissioner Prince and Commissioner Cavanis, along with our office, we're working on a major kind of overhaul to that part, to making sure that developers are coming in with that transit and transportation infrastructure mindset of making sure we're not breaking up the roads, we're not breaking up the curves, but also we're planning for X amount of residents to be moving into this corridor.
I'm glad you said that, because that seems to be our biggest problem here in Chosewood, and I'm sure it'll continue to be our problem. We can't seem to get any traction when it comes to the DOT, ATL DOT, and GDOT, and we get absolutely zero real response back from the Department of City Planning. They continue to approve these types of developments where the what's that?
Point of order, Jacob Mills.
Gotcha.
We're a little off topic here.
Just to bring that up, that this is a major point that I would like to bring up as far as future developments. The developers should be more responsible.
Jacob, point of order.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any other questions for Mina with Councilmember Antonio Lewis's office? Bob Morris, you have the floor.
Just a quick point to reiterate, if I may, Jacob's point. Right now there's a planned development on Boulevard just north of the intersection with Englewood in NPU-Y that actually calls for on-street parking on Boulevard. These are exactly the types of things that, honestly, without saying something obscene, we just wonder where people's heads are. Who in the world is going to approve on-street parking on Boulevard, given the state of the street, the traffic, et cetera? These are whether it's
point of order. I'm sorry, we're off topic. This is not her district to work with. We have to work with Councilmember Jason Winston for anything that's on this side.
I will just say that all of y'all, everything that has been said in the past 3 minutes is music to my ears as a resident of Boulevard in Chosewood Park. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mina, for joining us today. We appreciate you coming on. All right, next we have our committee reports. Please keep your report to 2 minutes or less. And if you can please hold your comments until the end of all committee reports. If there is something that you can place in the chat for a direct question, please do so. I first call our zoning and code enforcement committee.
You want to talk zoning first, Nicole?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll do a better job this time. We did have a zoning committee meeting this particular month. There were no outstanding items, so there was no progress. As Jacob mentioned, there are a number of developments that are coming up for SAP approval or comment. We'll be discussing those at the upcoming zoning committee meeting, should anybody want to join us then. Jacob, anything from you?
Yeah, I'll chime in just because I had point of order called on me too. My biggest concern is these pedestrian pathways, access roads, travel roads. Boulevard is 25 miles an hour. We continue to get construction traffic up and down Boulevard. We have a lot of developments that are coming on to McDonough and on Lakewood. And I think that we need to thoroughly address these issues with the Atlanta Department of Transportation and the Georgia Department of Transportation. Any comments and any questions that anybody might have regarding zoning or developments, please reach out to me and Bob. We would love to have a conversation with you and welcome you to our monthly meeting that we have for zoning and developments. So that's my 2 cents. I don't want to go over my time, but I will put my information in chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Transportation and Public Work Officer, who would be greatly appreciated listening to this, is not here today. So we will move to our Public Safety Officer. That is Gloria Hawkins-Wynn. You have the floor.
Yes, the one thing I meant to ask Major Ricker was about the integrated camera systems, and I think it came up when Mina mentioned it. My understanding, as of at least in Lakewood, that corridor, and is in Zone 3, specifically NPU-Y, the only business that has allowed integration of the camera system is the old Chevron, which I believe now is Amico. I believe it's now Amico. They are currently, the others are in progress, and the other being 1634 Lakewood Avenue, the Citgo at Browns Mill. Those are the 3 other venues. I have yet to check or ask about any of the other venues, which are any of the other stations which are in NPU-Y. And if anyone wants to submit those locations, I can confirm with Major Ricker whether the VIC system has been integrated. Major Ricker was pretty thorough. The only thing that I'm wanting to bring to folks' attention is, if I'll read it to you, the nature of the National Night Out, we've had it in Lakewood for several consecutive years. And not just one venue, multiple venues within that any given community can register. It's a national base that you register, and it allows the community to know which venues are open or available for essentially fellowshipping. It's a chance, the way it reads is safer communities in knowing your neighbors and in knowing your surroundings. That's the thrust of it. It also promotes police community relations. Last year, Chief Shearbaum, who recently was the interim chief for a while, but he's been the chief now for a year, but he was at the Dunbar location. This year, X, Y, and Z, we have received application to participate at Pittsburgh Yards. Unfortunately, and this is, I think, the drawback, it's always the first Tuesday in August. This year, it happens to coincide with back to school. It's from 6 to 8. There's going to be a book bag giveaway, a book bag push, as well as food. We at NPU-Y are going to man a table and kind of talk about some of the initiatives in Lakewood, in NPU-Y. And of course, the biggest of all is the August 20th, which is our Unity Day. So we're hoping you all will, again, the address is Pittsburgh Yard. I don't have the address with me. I'll provide it in the chat. Again, that is the first Tuesday in August, August 1st. We're combining with all of the other NPUs, X, Y, and Z, and we're expecting to have a really fun time. Just a number of venues. I think Morehouse School of Medicine may be one. Fulton County will be there. Of course, NPU-Y will have a table, as well as ACRB, which is our Civilian Review Board group.
Thank you. Next we have is Park, Beltline, and Environment. That is Dr. Rebecca Robbins.
Hey, good evening. I just have a quick pitch for our work session in South Bend Park coming up on Sunday, the 23rd. Oh, so I lied. It's not this coming. It is this coming. Okay, it is. This coming Sunday, 9:30 to 12. So please come out and join us. I left my email in the chat as well if you wanted to reach out to participate in the committee. or share any concerns with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our education, which is Monique Nedley.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me speak, Chairperson Nicole. As you all know, we have an opening for the chairperson position. Please send me an email if you have a recommendation or referral. This is an important committee as a lot of changes are happening in the education sphere. We want to be at the forefront of those changes as we have learned that we will have a new superintendent next school year, the 2024-2025 school year. So we want to make sure that we're part of those important conversations and that they include our voice in what we are looking to see. As well as we have a new CEO and president of Purpose-Built Schools, and we would love, and he's very interested in hearing our voice and really excited to hear our feedback. And so I'll be sharing more information about how you can share feedback and now directly go to our schools. As we ramp up, the first day of school is August 1st. 2023. So please make sure you're getting the word out and aware that traffic patterns will be changing soon. We also have a back to school bash on this Saturday at the World Congress Center. APS is going to be giving out free supplies, and it's one of the largest back to school bashes every year. And so I really encourage families and residents to share this information that this Saturday at the World Congress Center, I'm putting in the chat that you can go and get free school supplies. Last but not least, already said this, please send any recommendations for a new education committee chair. I want to be on the committee. I've been chairing it for 7 years, or 6 years, and I really appreciate it every day of it. But I do think that I want to spread the love, and this is great work as we see that our schools, our neighborhood schools, are going to be shining lights for others to model. And so in order for them to be the shining lights that we know they can be, and for them to support and uplift our community the way that we know they can, and improve our property values, we got to work together. So if anybody's interested in doing this amazing work alongside me and others in the community, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. We have communications, Kelly Jean Lee.
No updates.
Thank you. Bylaws Committee with Russell Hopkins.
Son, and but thank you. We will be having our bylaws committee meeting and review next Tuesday, the 25th. I will be sending out a Zoom link to my personal Zoom room. I'll put it in this chat, but I'll also send it to Madam Chair so that anybody interested can come and help with revisions. Keep in mind that the bylaws are open to all NPU residents, not just NPU-Y voting members. So if there are any individuals who want to come and be a part of it, that's fine. It will be a Zoom meeting. We'll kick it off about 6 p.m. so we don't have people home early. There's, as we continue to grow as as a community, it's important for our governing bylaws and principles to kind of continue to, let's call it, adjust and evolve with us as an organization. So I welcome anybody who wants to become a part of that, but know that I'm fair and stern, if you remember me from back in the day. So we're going to keep it going.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I read your name as it's misspelled on the agenda. Next we have is our Lakewood Oversight with Yolanda Cameron. All right, up next is our Lakewood Finance Committee.
Madam Chair, I don't believe anyone's present on that committee.
All right, APAB.
Oh, APAB. We have a resolution pending. It's concurrent with a lot of other think tank organizations like City in the Forest. What is most relevant about that resolution is it is the issue of removal of trees. If it turns out that you have an arborist that basically confirms that the tree to some extent is dead or dying or hazardous, and you're allowed to cut it, and it subsequently turns out that the tree is viable. Typically what happens is recompense is the call of the day. However, with developers where apparently this process is believed to have been abused, that either you pay recompense or there's a 2-year moratorium on build. Less onerous, less draconian is the measure or the remedies for the landowner who now, or the resident who now realizes the tree was a good tree. I think there was a tree fund by which we will be able to pull on a good faith mistake whereby the tree turns out it was completely healthy. That's the resolution that is likely to appear before APAB next month. What I intend to do is, in advance of our voting down range, I think it's best if I provide NPU-Y with, typically there's no more than 2 of those resolutions that will come before APAB on a monthly basis, and get feedback before I vote on them, because there was quite a bit of controversy last month on the referendum on the petition for it was vis-a-vis the referendum, putting on the referendum the police headquarter issue. And I think there were NPUs that pushed back that there should have been, a 30-day come back to the NPU and get the NPU's vote before our representatives. So I, in all due caution, I feel like I need to proceed similarly, that any resolutions that will be coming before APAB, I should share with the body. And if folks are so inclined to vote or give feedback, then I think that's probably most appropriate.
Thank you. And last up is our Special Projects Ad Hoc Committee, Alira Lofton.
All right, hello, give me just a second. I want to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see it? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay, perfect, thanks. All right, so our first NPU-Y Unity Day is less than 5 weeks away, and we want to see everyone on this call there. So please use the QR code on the screen or the links in the chat to register. You have time to do it now while I give you a few updates. All right. Since the last update, we have secured Red's Beer Garden to serve vegan and regular hot dogs. And remember that we already secured Amorous Tacos to serve vegan tacos, shrimp tacos, and chicken tacos. So it's something for everyone. And you will have a choice of one of those options for free. We have confirmation from Councilmember Lewis and Winston's office to attend our event. We have ordered flyers, banners, and other signage with the Unity Day money. Excuse my dog in the background. Perfect timing. We are working out the logistics of a timeline for the day before and day of the event. And again, we would like everyone on this call to register right now via the links in the chat. And if you're able, please sign up for a time slot or 2 to volunteer for the event. Thanks so much for registering, and send the registration link to like 2 of your neighbors if you can. Kelly Petty, I think you want to add a few things.
Yes, I just want to let people know, please register, because what we're trying to do is also capture where are most of our residents coming from for this event. So in the registration, we actually ask, which neighborhood are you coming from? And so we want to see as much representation across all of our neighborhoods in the NPU-Y as possible. Right now, of course, we're a little heavy on Lakewood Heights, but for those who are on this call that are in Chosewood Park or Joyland or South Atlanta or High Point, wherever you are, please, please register. It's free registration. You don't have to pay for anything. Again, this is a free event, but please register, because we want to see all of our residents out there representing the complete neighborhood. And this is a time for you, when the elected officials come, for you to talk to them, for you, to say hello, for you to share, what you feel about NPU-Y and why you're here, why you decide to live here, why did you decide to move here if you are a new homeowner in the area, a new resident in the area. So this is a great time for us to come out specifically for community gatherings, socializing, and getting to know each other. And it's all going to be at Ollie at Lakewood. So please be there.
Thank you so much. Please share this information on your community social media if they have a social media page, and try to get the word out. Are there any questions for any of our committees? All right, as I see no hands raised, thank you all for all the hard work that you do. I know that it's a lot of work throughout the month, but we are greatly appreciative. Next on our agenda is the treasurer election. So We are holding a special election as our treasurer had moved out of the NPU-Y boundaries. So due to our bylaws, that means that he is no longer able to serve. This means that we will be hosting a nominations and elections this month. So the treasurer position, I will put in the chat some information about what it does. So that way everybody can see. Our interim treasurer is Paul McMurray, and he is a nominee for the position as well. To be eligible to serve as treasurer, each officer must meet the requirements of residency and must be a voting member. In addition, an officer must have attended 4 meetings in the 12-month period versus 3 meetings to vote. Also, there is no more than 1 officer that is able to be elected within the same household or family. I would like to open the floor for any additional nominations. All right, as I hear none, Paul, would you like 1 minute to introduce yourself before we have a vote?
Yes, I think everyone knows me. I was treasurer in the past. Jimmy could not continue on it, and I was happy to volunteer to at least be the initial nominee. I have been attending the NPU-Y executive meetings regularly already, and that's the main thing the treasurer does. I've shown that I want to be in this position because I'm already sort of doing it, you know, but so that's so I hope everyone would vote for me as you have in the past. So
thank you. Are there any nominations? All right, well, then we will move to a voice vote instead of a poll. At this point, it is a slate vote, so it is still a quorum that we do it. The motion is to approve. Well, can I ask for a motion? My apologies.
Madam Chair, Gloria.
May I have a second?
All
right, so we are voice voting to approve Paul McMurray as treasurer. Any in opposition, please say aye. All right, so moved.
all right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
All right.
All right, next up on our agenda are voting matters. We have up next is Z2336. This is 1213 Hill Street. John Clark, you may have the floor for a 3-minute presentation.
Hey, John, I think you're on mute. Do you want me to go ahead and start, John?
Yes, please.
All right. Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hey, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Haymore. I'm a zoning lawyer at Dillard Sellers here in Atlanta, and I'm representing tonight's rezoning applicant, which is John Clark and his company, In Town Holdings. He's also a property owner of a portion of the property that's proposed for rezoning. And also here on the call are project architect Kevin Marr and project engineer Sam Alvia. I'll ask our team to put up a map of the property on the screen, sort of orient you to what we're here to talk about. We'll be as quick as we can.
Nicole, can you, oh, you did. Yeah, bring in Will.
See that?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
John, can we go to the site plan on that, or Will?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. So just real briefly, it's 4.2 acres. It's in Chosewood Park. As you see there on the plan, it has street frontage on Hill Street and Englewood Avenue, but it also has frontage on a never built paper street called Climax Street. We're proposing to build Climax Street between Hill Street and Milton Avenue for vehicular and pedestrian access, thereby increasing the connectivity within Chosewood Park. Currently, the property is zoned R4A, but it's never been developed due to steep topography, There's an unrecorded sewer easement, and there are unimproved right-of-ways and other challenging conditions. So to overcome those conditions, we're proposing PDH zoning. We're proposing a 45 lot, single family, detached residential subdivisions. The homes will be for sale. PDH zoning is compatible with the single family residential future land use map designation in the comprehensive plan. The single family detached owner occupied houses is also compatible with the CDP policies for both NPU-Y and Chosewood Park, as well as the Chosewood Park master plan. These policies include preserving the residential character of the main neighborhood core and supporting pedestrian safety and mobility through new sidewalks and connectivity. We're in the BeltLine overlay, and so we'll comply with all applicable regulations there. Development under the current R4A is simply not feasible economically or physically, which is evidenced by the property's longstanding undeveloped status. Historically, the property was zoned I1 and R5, but development simply wasn't even feasible under those categories either. But PDH allows us the site design flexibility that we need to make this project work both from a physical layout as well as an economic return perspective. We presented this project and plan to the Chosewood Park neighborhood back on June 12th, and we received unanimous recommendation of approval. That vote was 17-0. So at this time, turn it over to John, who's going to walk you through the site plan and the elevations.
Madam Chair, it is time.
Hey, John, if you can take 20 seconds to wrap it up.
Yes, I will. Will, if we could, let's show the pictures, the fun stuff here. So if you're familiar with a couple of neighborhoods in the neighborhood, it's this sort of Hedgewood, Serenbe style architecture. Every house is very different, but at the same time, it blends together. This is the look that we're going for. Again, PDH fits this perfectly because it does give us freedom to work with each lot with setbacks and stuff. So the goal is to have the cool look, and that's what we're looking at here. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I think Jeff said everything we needed to know on that. So that's the look we're going for.
Thank you so much. So as I believe Jacob is logged off and he is the president of CPNA, I will speak on CPNA's behalf as the vice president there. It was a unanimous consent to approve the applicant. We felt that this was a perfect use of what a PDH is, and they also met the community's needs and desire to have a single family core expanded and have single family homes that are for sale, as there are a lot of apartments coming into our community over the next few years. So he worked diligently with the executive board as well as the community to meet the needs of the BeltLine overlay and the Chosewood Park master plan. I will open the floor to any question to John Clark and the rest of his team. Russell, you have the floor.
Move to support Chosewood Park's ruling.
Second, Rebecca.
The motion on the floor that is seconded is to approve the applicant. We'll go ahead and launch the poll.
No, Madam Chair, there was no discussion. I had a question.
Okay, we'll open for discussion. My apologies.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Gloria, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because, I'm new to the game and I'm learning a whole lot. I think it's oftentimes helpful to the body if you all would define what PDHs are. And I think I can see visually how it works, but it gives folks a little more idea as to what is unique about this project because you're labeling it as a PDH versus a regular R4 parcels. If you would, just a quickie, I think it's helpful.
Jeff, do you want to
answer
that one?
I can do that, and I can do that from the context of I used to work for the city of Atlanta in their law department, advising the planning department for many years, so I'm very familiar. PDH is planned development housing. It's a site-specific zoning classification that allows, based on these types of issues, topography and challenging conditions, a developer to propose a site plan that has more flexibility than a more rigid sort of, for example, R4A district designation. That plan is then presented through this process and recommended through the planning department, zoning review board, and ultimately the city council.
Which ultimately allows more or less on the same amount. Is that correct? That you would have much more development on parcels, whereby under R4 you would have substantially less. Is that correct? With
Not quite. Actually, PDH in the eyes of many is intended to be density neutral. So here in the R4A, you can have what's called 0.5 FAR floor area ratio, which we're actually meeting. But what PDH allows us to do is shift some homes closer than would otherwise be allowed, but over the entire site, not allow a FAR density greater than what the underlying zoning would allow. So it's just that flexibility of moving pieces within the site development.
Thank you. It looks good. And like Russell said, I defer to those in Chosewood, but it's a very good looking development.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions for the applicant? All right, as I see none, the motion on the floor is to approve the application for a PDH. So there is a poll that has been launched on your screen. Please go ahead and vote. Your voting requirements are that NPU-Y recognizes residential constituents, that is any person 18 years or older whose primary residence is within the boundaries of NPU-Y. We also recognize business constituents, so that's organizations, institutions, or agencies which own properties as a business. A business constituent may have one vote, and that is with either one representative or themselves. Additionally, you do have to have 3 meetings attended in the last 12 months. This may be your 3rd meeting in order to meet eligibility. All right, our motion is 16 yes, 0 no, and 4 an abstention. I am sharing the screen, so motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Are there any in the chat? I do not see any. Perfect. All right, thank you, John. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Madam Chair, I may have been in error because I was a host. My vote may not have registered. I thought it did. So it may be 20, it may be 17 in favor.
If you'd like to put your vote in the chat, that way I can make sure it counted if it's not on the poll.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you. Have a great evening. All right, we're going to go back to the agenda. Give me just one moment. All right, next up is old business, which we do not have any. However, we do have some new business. There is a motion for a letter of recommendation to the city council, and this is to recommend prohibiting vehicle storage, vehicle rentals, junkyards along the BeltLine overlay. Dr. Troy Nunley, would you like the floor?
Sure. So as you all know, along University, all the way down into almost the Beacon, there's been an influx of vehicle storage yards under University. You also right behind the BeltLine, kind of on Pryor, there's a whole bunch of 18-wheeler storage behind there, behind the building. So I know we can't remove those because it's not because we don't have legislation for it yet, but we do want to prevent it from happening in the future. So a motion that I recommended to the board was to make a recommendation to the city council to prohibit the items that's mentioned here, which is the vehicle storage, vehicle rental, junkyards. I think in the municipal code also says automobile storage yards, that language, so that we can prevent those type of manufacturing like items. And it's against the whole entire, the way the BeltLine is supposed to be designed. So we wanted to make that recommendation to the city council so that they can add that language into the BeltLine overlay code, which is section 16. So that's it on my end.
Thank you so much. The executive board did discuss this during our last executive meeting, and we were in support of writing a letter of recommendation to City Council for them to pursue legislation. I would like to open the floor for any questions or comments on the matter prior to asking for a motion. Russell, you have the floor.
Move to support the findings of the executive board.
May I have a second?
Second, Rebecca.
All right, so the motion on the floor is to support a letter of recommendation to City Council recommending to prohibit vehicle storage, vehicle rentals, and junkyards along the BeltLine overlay. Are there any questions or comments that would like to be raised before we vote? All right, I am launching another poll. Gloria, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was, because at APAB, we looked at no drive-throughs and no gas stations. So I'm assuming that Troy's already done some research and recognizes that these prohibitions don't currently exist. Is that what I'm hearing, Troy? Is that right? Is that what
Correct. So what's currently been approved is the language was warehousing, self-storage, and distribution centers, which is different from storage yards, essentially, which is automobile storage yards is the language that they use in the municipal code. So it's slightly different, but I can go back and review. I did read through the municipal code trying to find if I can find any duplicative language, but wasn't able to do so. So even if it's redundant in this case, I still think that we should make sure that the council knows that we want them to enforce this.
Absolutely. All right, I'm closing the poll.
Oh, wait, I don't vote yet.
If you want to throw it in the chat, Troy. All right, the poll is 14 yes, 0 no's, and 0 abstentions. And then I know that Troy is putting his in the chat, so it'd be 15-0-0. Motion carries. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you sharing that, and we will get a letter out to City Council soon, so that way we can hopefully get some legislation put together.
Madam Chair, Gloria in the chat as well is a yes.
Okay. All right, next is our NPU bylaws. I know that Russell has touched base on this briefly, but I did just want to go over a few of the procedures that go on with bylaw amendments. So the bylaws are amended once a year, and this is where members of the NPU are able to vote on amendments prior to the NPU executive board submitting them to the Department of City Planning, where they have further review and approval. They must be submitted by September 30th. And then they are adopted on January 1st that following year. So as noted, any member within our community is able to submit any sort of recommendation for an amendment. However, residents are the only members that are able to vote. Now, there are no voting requirements as to eligibility for how many meetings you attend. So as long as you are a resident of the community, you are able to vote on our bylaws. As Russell said, there will be a bylaw committee meeting, so you may turn in and share any of your recommendations during the meeting. You can also email either Russell or the executive board with any of your comments or suggestions. So the bylaws committee meeting will be July 25th, and this will be reviewing any amendments that have been submitted and to discuss the amendments that will be moved forward. Next month, during our August 21st meeting, we will be sharing the proposed amendments for everybody to review. And additionally, we'll be voting on them the following month on September 18th. So I'm going to drop in the chat for everybody the bylaws. They've also been sent out through email, so we'll make sure that we continue to send them out multiple times. So I do apologize if you are getting a couple copies of them. But this is our current bylaws. Are there any questions on how the procedure works for bylaw amendments? All right, as I see no hands raised, thank you so much. And we will move on to National Night Out. Gloria, I know you spoke on this for a moment. Would you like to touch base any further?
No, not at all. Just hope folks can come out, and most importantly, to meet Captain Pettis in person, Major Ricker, Sergeant Sutton, Lieutenant Otiti. They'll all come through, and it's a feel good. It's let's read how it says. It's community building initiative which supports neighborhood camaraderie and promotes police community relations. So it's been in effect for 30 years. Again, our friends to our north, NPU-Y is sponsoring it, which means all the food and accoutrements come from them. We have an application and process whereby we're going to set up a vendor table. We're going to have some NPU-Y swag and promote our upcoming initiatives. Probably our biggest one is Unity Day, August 20th. So again, I hope you all will come out, even if it's just for a moment. It's usually Pittsburgh Yard is a really nice venue for those who have not been there. It's right there on the BeltLine, and it's going to be festive. Their planning is almost as good as the planning for Unity Day. I mean, with a real bona fide committee and assignments, and apparently, as Major Ricker said earlier, Dunbar Center hosted last year, and the organizers at Dunbar are the same ones who are putting forth this year's National Night Out. But check the register. There are other venues within the city. There are none. I don't believe there are any others that are registered in NPU-Y.
Thank you so much. Last on the list of announcements from our side is the police training facility petition. There has been a petition that was brought to light for residents to be able to vote on the matter of the police training facility. I believe that we had a member that was going to announce. Pamela, are you on? I do not see her on. So the petition allows a motion to repeal the City of Atlanta's ordinance, which is 21-0-0367, and place the matter on the City of Atlanta's November ballot for residents to vote to either approve or reject the police training facility. There is going to be a link in the chat for more information for you to review the information if you choose to move forward with signing the petition. Are there any other announcements from the general body? Heather, you have your hand raised.
Yep. As if we haven't had enough opportunities to get school supplies, I want to throw another one into the ring. So Lakewood is hosting our second annual Lakewood Day Saturday, July 29th at South Bend Park from 1 to 5. There'll be food, music, all kinds of stuff, and we will be giving away backpacks with all the school supplies inside them. As part of that, we are collecting school supply donations for kids in the community. Thank you to everyone, especially the businesses in the neighborhood who have already donated. I'm going to drop the link in the chat, but if you're in a position to donate, we have an Amazon store and would appreciate any donations.
Thank you. Kelly, you may have the floor.
Yes, just one more reminder. Alir and I were talking and realized this is the last NPU-Y meeting before Unity Day. Just reminding everyone again to sign up and register for Unity Day as well as volunteer. The unique thing about this Unity Day is that it's for everyone. I know that a lot of the events that have already been spoken about tend to be situated around the kids with the backpacks. So definitely go out and support those, of course. But Unity Day is really open to everyone. And it's a time for us all to get together. So, you know, there's going to be just as many activities for the adults as there are for the kids. So please make sure that you do sign up and register and come out. We love to see you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Gloria Hawkins-Wynn, you have the floor again.
Excuse me, to that vein, absolutely. We want to thank Fulton County, and I think Jonathan mentioned earlier, Natalie Hall's office. It was an incredible inaugural event up at the Y on Saturday from 10 to 1. 12,000 book bags full of supplies were given out. And the Carver Y, the Southeast Quadrant, NPU-Y was chosen as the go-to venue. It was, I was at APAB and I got there late, but it was just an incredibly festive environment. water slides, the works. But again, it's so great to see the city rallying around giving our students a push back off to a good year. And I don't think there's any such thing as extra supplies, are there? Or too many supplies?
Never. All right, any other announcements? All right, as I see no other hands raised, we have no presentations.
Yes, I have an announcement. I'm sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Morehouse, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have the floor.
Okay, hi, this is Adrienne Proler calling from Morehouse School of Medicine, and we're having a grant writing academy tomorrow from 10:30 to 12:30. It'll be virtual, it'll be a webinar. And if you are interested in learning about resources for finding funding for your community organization, or if you have an idea for a community organization, you kind of want to find out how to get seed funding, the guest speakers will be from Candid, which is the former Community Foundation organization. So if you scroll up, you can see the registration link. The registration will be open until 11:59 tonight, so you need to register tonight. The webinar is tomorrow, 10:30 to 12:30. And I hope that some of you can take advantage of the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is the opportunity only available to nonprofits, or is this available to all members and other community organizations?
Yeah, so any you don't have to be a 501c3 if that's your question. In fact, a lot of people attend to kind of learn how to get the funding so that they can go after a 501c3. So yeah, any organization is if you have an idea of what you'd like to do, that you'd like to do something for the community, come and listen and see if you can get some good ideas on how to get you some money.
Thank you. Heather, you have the floor.
Yep, I just wanted to remind everybody that 2023 property tax appraisal application or appeal applications are due before July 24th. So I'm going to drop in some info from the BeltLine. If you're interested, they put together a bunch of resources on how to do that. But just want to remind everybody that is coming up next week.
Thank you so much for the reminder.
Chair, may I also add a little bit to that? Even if you feel like it's a reasonable assessment, appearing at the BOE allows you to lock in that value for a 3-year period of time. I think my understanding, there's a real art to understanding how to push back on the appraiser's assessment. I mean, there's some real strategy and real understanding and all pretty much comparables, but I think there's a whole bunch of other things. But nonetheless, you will be locked in for a 3-year period of time that your taxes will not raise.
Yeah, and I dropped the YouTube link. They put on a big session last week that is helpful if you feel a little over your head and how to do it. They're really helpful in how to put together those comps in that application for anybody interested.
Absolutely. Last year they were great with hosting different seminars for you to attend as well and to be able to log in and watch them online. So please do go and log in and try to see what you can do about your property taxes. Gloria, did you have another point?
Oh, no, thank you very much.
As we have no presentations, we will go ahead and move to our planners report. So I'll hand it over to Elizabeth Clapham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not have any announcements for you this week. Thank you so much for acting on Z2336. We'll get that vote recorded. I will put my information in the chat right now. If anybody has any follow-up questions or anything that they need, please feel free to let me know.
Thank you so much. All right, is there any other, Gloria, you have your hand raised.
Hey, Elizabeth, isn't there a pending class on Thursday for NPU-Y, NPU University? I knew there was one scheduled, I think, this week. Is it Thursday? Elizabeth?
I would have to check, Gloria. I know we've got new NPU-Y stuff coming. I know there's a couple new ones starting in August. I don't know if we actually have a class on Thursday, though. I will have to get back to you on that.
No worries, no worries. I should have it. I mean, I have it somewhere in my email, but I can't recall what it was. I thought it dealt with grant writing for some reason. That's the reason I mention it, because I think it's grant writing season, because there's the money's coming online. I think after, what is it, July 1 for the city and other entities?
Correct, yes. And I am just trying to remember because I subbed for NPU-B last week, so I still have all my information from last week. But yes, give me a second while we're wrapping this up. I will check into that for you.
Thanks, Alyssa.
All right, any other questions and comments from the general body? All right, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Rebecca.
All right,
Gloria
any
second.
opposition?
Gloria second.
And is there any opposition of adjournment? All right, well, we'll slate vote to adjourn at 8:30. And as usual, we do stay on for another 30 minutes or so if you like to hang out with your fellow neighbors and talk shop. Have a great evening.
Mhm.
All right, you too.